Okay, so guys, there was actually more time. I ended the episode a little quickly. I got a little bit more time to still talk about the topic. You know, it's kind of strange. It's like we're looking at a species headed towards a sort of timeless, energetic, experiential destiny, and yet we're in that phase of life where the cyberspace realms and age is beginning. We're all like pioneers of the cyberspace era. At the same time, we are at a point where the civilization has given into indecency, and so it's as if here, I'll say it this way. We're at the beginning of the cyberspace era, and we're at the end of the linguistic simulation era, the language era. That means what's going to happen in the future is that we're going to see in society skill becoming the most fascinating thing. You know, it's as if when in the walks towards an advanced civilization, it's like witnessing the activation of planetary competency. You know, it's gonna be like, imagine a universe of kung fu masters where each kung fu master has its own martial arts style. So now imagine an advanced civilization with 8 billion advanced communicators, advanced beings, each having their own, in some sense, a style of expression. You see, it's as if we gotta use what we have, and what we have is how far the past managed to carry us to here. And then in some sense trying to be, you know what it is? It's like the best way to honor our ancestors is to acknowledge them, you know, acknowledge their eternal presence, and acknowledge how they have left the room. To me, that's what it feels like. It feels like we're all in a workstation. Humanization. Human beings are, it's as if through being given free will, it's as if of the destiny of the species. And honestly, if you want to think about the world, so many people are like, world peace. It's like, it's not world peace we want. It's an advanced world we want, and peace in some sense is the byproduct of the most advanced aim. That means it's as if the greatest, to me personally, I think on this planet, the greatest technological revolution or invention would be one that could make machines experience the love of human beings. That is like, anybody who figures that problem out, you will be a genius remembered by the geniuses of the realm. You know, that is one of those things where man's interaction with his world is as if, like, you know, let's say an AI looked at a human being and it's like, okay, what is that? You know, and the AI is like, okay, I have a program, I have a sort of code I'm running under. Human beings have a genetic code, but they also have memory, and their memory, in some sense, moving through language. So it's as if language is kind of like the matrix codes on the screen and everybody's thoughts in the moment. Right, it's kind of like a dynamic journey through the persona that you have chosen. Attention is honestly transcendental, and the nature of attention is beyond time, and it's not going to be beyond space, it's going to realize it is space. So really, a true out-of-body and out-of-mind experience is only when a human being has become their whole moment. When you realize you're a moment of being, your relationship with all the things that the personality had a relationship with change. That means it was as if before I had this view that I am a person who's like inefficient, then my mind was like, no, that idea of my own inefficiency is a passerby in the eyes within that watch everything. So what it is that we are not our thoughts, but we can choose to dress up in them. We can choose to activate moments where the physiology and psychology are committed to the inner picture. But there's way more, I'm telling you. It's like, We're still in the cradle of a singular dimension. We have not realized that there's so many greater ways that the species can happen. As I'm speaking right now, it's like they exist. Like, think of it this way: somebody's trying to make like a robotic hand. Let's say you're trying to invent a robotic hand, okay? And then you suddenly, it's like in that moment where you're trying to invent this robotic hand, before you begin, for a second, you fathom how many different kinds of human beings are there in the world, and how many of them are trying to build like a robotic hand, right? And how many people, or think of it, I'll give you an easier example. Imagine a soccer player, right? And a soccer player scoring a goal, and then wondering how many, in that instant, how many people on the planet are there that are scoring better goals, right? So that means that the potential of greater ways of the moment happening is always out there, but if it is not in our conscious domain, we give up in accordance to our limited inner view. You know, it's as if when the mind becomes your ally, it has realized where poetically the soul is going. And the soul is to the mind individualized, but to itself, it is the destiny of reality. Even if you're religious, this fits in. If you're non-religious, it fits in. How? Because it is attention not being limited to a physical dimension, but having from the beginning been multidimensional to a degree that after materialism, the witness can breathe. The witnessing continues. You know, it's like more than I want to see musicians that understand instruments. It's as if like the advancement of our civilization is left to human beings and the free will of every individual human being like, okay, I will start to play the game of life with the context that potential great advancement is in the waiting. You know, it's as if the difference between a royal mindset and the difference between a non-royal mindset from a cosmic perspective is that it's as if for the first time ever in human history, the earthbound psychology requires universal confidence. You require to treat yourself as a universal being, and instantly you will notice your attention elevated beyond any archetype. That means if you thought you were, you know, a cultural entity, it's as if you saw beyond that. If you thought you were in some sense an ideological entity, only you saw beyond that. You thought you were like a person in a nation, you saw beyond that. You thought you were a person on a planet, a creature on a planet, you saw beyond that. And that's where the universal beinghood begins. So it's as if some people are living on this planet as if they're living as if they're being the universe. It's as if who's giving this talk, it's like, could it be everything in disguise? It's just these sounds. The future is the treasure that the past knows about but can never touch. In the present, we are left as gardeners or programmers that are trying to design such backup systems to reality. To me, the advanced communicators and the pilots of consciousness of future generations, their task is to look at civilization and in their inner realms fathom how far ahead can it go. And once they have found an efficient victory, inner victory, then your outer performance is very simple. It's as if once you know what to do, you just have to do it, right? For me, it's like this for these talks. When I have the feeling, it's like a sort of feeling. When the feeling's there, then it like begins. Imagine a species managed to care and love like its physical dimension. Now imagine a species managed to, care and love their mental dimension, their mind space. And imagine then they reached the sort of solar view that they were, in some sense, the sun of their universe as human. When you realize your energy is not you, it is coming from you. That is when I would say, and anybody who understands that statement, you're listening from the inner witness. That means your unknown presence has revealed itself to you. When it does, usually there comes this strange strength, and it's a strength not by the person, by the context of the worldview of the person. If I look at the past, I see all the things that I could have done. When I look at the future, I see all the things I can still do. That's the difference, right? In an advanced civilization, there would be no time for guilt. It's as if it's an unknown vastness, and we move the brush on the empty canvas. That is the power of human intelligence, right? It's as if it receives, it expresses, it maintains, and ultimately, once it has gone through those cycles, it witnesses. In the Ribu Gita, there is a very profound saying where they say there are the three main states of consciousness: conscious waking state, deep sleep, dream state. Every human being goes through these. Now, for the yogis and the author of the Ribu Gita, he was saying in some sense that there is a fourth state. That means if you are identifying your life in accordance to when you're awake and what happens, in accordance to deep sleep where there is the absence of the ego, and when you see it in regards to dream states, dreams, you see these, it's as if once beyond these three states, the fourth state is realizing that the dream, it's as if the dream is happening for you. It's as if you realize that it's as if your attention is standing beyond the room of change from the beginning. That means it's kind of like a forgotten memory from birth, before birth. Now, that fourth state is the ultimate state, and I have made it synonymous to the advanced communicator. In some sense, what I mean by this is that the most advanced human activity is the most aware human activity, and the most awareness that the human being can have is to be their whole moment. It's as if you realize, it's as if you were being real, and then you suddenly realize life was not being real with you, and then suddenly you notice the glitches in the simulation of how the psyche is holding the outer realms. It's as if unless we unravel the secret of the mind, we don't know what is moving matter. That is the issue. This is why I am, in some sense, my heart is trying to roar as loud as I can to all the philosophers in the realm, as if it's like what the world needs now is great advancements in potential modes of efficient psychology. That's it. It's as if people didn't realize the greatest army on the planet was coming from all those people who had cared for the world. The compassionate are the army of the future. those are the greatest leaders. Why? Because we preserve our human nature as we advance beyond it. That is the true advancement. That's like so badass if we do that. You know, that means we experience the totality of a cyber reality, and we experience the totality of the endurance of our natural reality. Anyways, I guess I'll end it here. And if you are someone who you feel you have remembered your past life, introduce it to your future life. And if you're someone who's, let's say, met your future life, learn to be the memory. It's as if the way we are as a being suggests how your future self performs. So imagine, like, if a person eats an apple, okay, and let's say the apple gives them a stomach ache, okay? So the moment they bite the apple, their future self is already experiencing the stomach ache, okay? Now, the thing is that the person has to realize when it comes to unknown dimensions, they go towards pure being. When you look at known dimensions, they go towards pure doing. That means whoever you are, if you are actually seeking the truth of reality, be very mindful, because it will take you to a point where meaning doesn't have to mean anything. And then the experiencer activates. Thinking is as if like a pilot that has finally managed to look out the window of its plane of existence and fly it. You see, it's the ability. That's what we want. We don't want power. We want an efficient, advanced, able civilization. Because, that's when we will have the ultimate rest. It's as if the person's, just relaxing and, and it's as if knowing that civilization has been tilted towards its own advancement rather than letting the macrocosm make us so inferior that we never needed to try. The future awaits. When the present takes off its past disguise.